I'm so excited to talk to you today about my latest book recommendation, Architecting a Company of Owners by Dr. Daren Martin. Daren is a really prolific author, a very writerly person, and he and I go way back. He's a good personal friend. I've read everything that he's written, and have spent the last 2 hours researching what he's got lately. And I had come across his book earlier in the fall, his latest, number 8. And it was so engrossing, even in my old Kindle here. His stuff is pithy. It is economical. And I mean that not monetarily so much as just in terms of athleticism. I mean, it's just the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And so he connects those dots in a way that as a reader makes it fun because you feel like I'm not wasting any time. Everything that I'm reading is a pearl. And his stuff is beautiful. It is just, this is the older book, but it's the most recent book that I have in paperback. And it's just got, art and illustration and beautiful iconography. I love it all. It's so fun. I could go on and on. But time being what it is, I want to try to be a good steward of your time in the way that he is for those of us that read his work. In my research to share what I wanted to talk to you about around this book recommendation, I found on his website he has got a lot of really neat videos now too. So those I believe will be an encouragement to you the way that they have been to me. So I suggest that you dig into DarenMartin.com, and I've included a link in this video so that you can find it without groping in the dark. His books, I was trying to figure out the order of them all because there are so many. And again, I think Tale of Three Coaches is sold. He probably literally doesn't remember writing it. But there was that, and then he co-wrote a book called The Sink with a good mutual friend named Walter Nussbaum, who is a phenomenal, not just thinker and prolific writer in the same way that Daren is, but also a great, keynoter. Daren and Walter are great in that regard, both of them. But they co-wrote a book called The Sink, and the subtitle was Leave It Better. And it's a real neat business parable, and we're familiar with business parables all the more. So it's a great way to consume information. Whiteboard. I remember when this one was being published, and he and I had dinner literally that week that it was getting published, and we were both so excited. I was so proud of him. Unbeach Your Company: Learning to Swim in the New Ocean. I don't know if that was his 4th book, but I enjoyed that one as well. And then we've gotten to the point now of Evolution at Work and Company of Owners, and then the Acting Like an Owner workbook, which was number 7, I think, and then number 8, which brings us again, back to where we started with Architecting a Company of Owners. All right, so about that book, about architecting, here's what I found. All right, so yeah, it's a follow-up to his Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestseller, A Company of Owners. That's the one I just held up that is so gorgeous. His new book is named by HR Magazine in the UK as a must-read. That was true for 2022, and I'll suggest it for you for 2023. I've made some notes as I read through it. What do I feel that you'll get out of it, right? So why am I recommending it? Yeah, it's going to focus on employee satisfaction and engagement, and I'll share some math about that in a minute, why that's important to all of us, or should be. How to attract and retain top talent. Really critical right now in this era. Productivity and profitability, and then create a true enterprise company. All right. I've isolated 6 quotes from the book that I enjoyed and just wanted to share so you can kind of get a vibe for what he's talking about here. In the latest, Architecting a Company of Owners. So quote number 1, if company culture showed up on a P&L, it would be the first data point looked at by all executives. When executives pay attention to the severe negative impact of low engagement, they focus on increasing engagement immediately. Yeah, amen. Hallelujah, brother. Low employee engagement is expensive. That's true. I remember pre-pandemic, Gallup did a study and identified that about the 1/3 of U.S. employees that are generally disengaged, and there are some others that are, like woefully disengaged. Those who are sort of moderately disengaged, that third of the population costs the U.S. economy about $350 billion in lost productivity. So there are line items that are very real, and particularly through turnover with varied costs going up, it is just a really growing problem. And I wish that there was a way to account for culture and the lack of engagement in the P&L in some way that we see with, fixed and variable expenses, floating so much through turnover. Nevertheless, quote number 2, quit worrying about head count and start focusing on head in the game count. I love that. It's quippy, right? How many of your employees truly have their focus on the company's goals? Which is his segue into a cool quote that I love next. Many companies and leaders are in absolute denial about the true state of their company. Yeah. He's got some zingers in here. We got to get bopped in the nose a few times to wake up to how detrimental toxic culture or the lack of engagement can be. He shares here a stat from William Scheiman that reveals only 14% of employees know their company's strategy. So that's the segue past goals, right? He has a quote here. I've talked to many top executives whose perception of their organization is inconsistent with the perception of team members who are closer to the valve. Yeah, that's absolutely right. In fact, I would say 14% could be a little generous. I have read it as low as 11%. So either way, it is woeful. To imagine that 11 to 14 out of 100 people in your organization, if you said, hey, tell me what the strategies are of the organization. Hey, tell me what the 2 or 3 priorities are. Hey, tell me what the goals are. And they wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, it's just the vast majority can't do that. And so I think that's a condemnation. It's very convicting for us as leaders about our responsibility in communicating more clearly, because many of us are not doing that. And then it's also a shared responsibility, because I, as an employee, I need to take ownership, which again was the focus of this book that preceded the current book. I need to take ownership for caring, to learn, to know. I find all the time in groups that you can ask, what are the organization's values? They're printed on the back of their ID badge. It's right there on their person. And unless they cheat and look at it, a lot of times they can't do it. I would say less than half can do it. Another convicting activity in workshops, and I suspect Dr. D does this as well, and I do it all the time, which is, get out a piece of paper and a pencil or something and write down what you think the organization's top priorities are. And then pass those around and have people read them aloud. And it's, it's kindergarten jokes. I mean, we don't have a clue. All right, 4th quote that Dr. D's got that I love. If your title starts with the letter C, CEO, COO, CFO, CHRO, CIO, CMO, CISO, the C no longer stands for chief, it stands for culture. Yes. Too many leaders focus for and in rather than on an organization. Blueprinting, architecting, that's his whole thesis, that we need to be doing that. Number 5, he talks about 3 S's. Secure, safe, and supported, right? Are my basic needs being met by my company? Safe. Do I feel free to be myself, regardless of ideology or differences of opinion, etc.? Our little company, Leath Group, we're a faith-based company, but that doesn't mean that everybody in the organization has the same beliefs or has faith. Has faith-based reality, right? Mark Twain had a great quote. If we both agree, one of us is unnecessary. So we all need to surround ourselves with people that don't parrot and echo what we do within that little echo chamber, right? That have differences of opinion. It makes all of us better, sharper, more capable. Number 3 is supported. Encouraged to pursue your passions and interests, your unique skills and abilities and insights. Encouraged to bring your brain, not just your brawn. I love that. So it's kind of smarter, not harder, right? And then the last quote here, which is about an introduction of crafting an epic culture through the 4 C's. You know, call it by the right name, then craft it, then cast it, then cultivate it. I love that. So you're going to find his books anywhere books are sold. So hop on the old Googler and download it to your Kindle 1.0 or 9.7 or whatever the heck we have now. My recommendation is that you read Architecting a Company of Owners and that you gift it. Gift it. It's cheap. This stuff is not going to put anybody in the poorhouse. It's a few bucks. Buy it, gift it, download it, and yes, you'll be able to find it on Amazon and again elsewhere. But visit DarenMartin.com, DarenMartin.com, because he's got some really beautiful stuff there. It's kind of the equivalent, I felt like, in the 2 hours that I was buzzing around his site. I felt like it was the equivalent of drinking one of those 5-hour energy drinks. It is a caffeinated jolt, which I loved. It is not staid and boring and conservative. It is exciting and dynamic and responsive as a website. And it's why I'm recording this now at 3 in the morning, because I should have started researching things earlier. I really loved his book, and then it sent me down a rabbit hole where I found all kinds of additional resources, and you will too. So again, read it and gift it, and have a fabulous 2023.